400 IQ, can turn into like any animal, anything on the
Yeah.
planet. Um, can't really die. What
Yeah.
was it? Got Dio, stops time, has a stand. Then we got a guy that could, what was it? Well, we got Kira, he can like blow you up,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
durability
Okay.
engagement.
I remember Carrot. So anything he touches, he can turn into a bomb, and that he has
Yeah.
sheer heart attack. And then if he has a cat, he also has the ability with the cat to throw cat bubbles.
Yeah, and he also basically, I guess you could maybe consider Southside up. Then again, he has his team, so he can use his team as a sacrifice. But essentially, he can rewind time by like, it's like Groundhog Day. Essentially,
Bites the
basically,
dust.
he,
Yeah.
yeah, bites the dust. And then there's Diablo, guy can skip time,
Yeah.
pretty simple, and see like 10 seconds into the future or
Yeah.
faded futures. Pretty simple. Then we've got
So
Pucci made that. He has huge
okay. So
hands.
here'd be my premise here. I'd be more than willing to say everyone's 5D, just to say all the time hacks like won't be garbage logically. How does that sound?
It's
Like
fun.
even the stand users themselves would be 5D naturally, like JoJo rules in this case. How would that sound for the sake of simplicity?
Sounds fun.
Okay. I mean, we could support it with Dio and everything in part three. So there is a proposition to make at least. So, uh, so you know what? So I thought about Wonder View and Atheon. So you mind rolling back? Like the full extent of Wonder View's bullshit.
He simply just has like logic hacks. You can manipulate logic
Okay.
and laws.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty busted. So basically, no matter what, let's say if your character is like thinking about attacking you, let's say your character's let's say it wouldn't matter if your character's faster than Wonder View because by virtue of your character passively thinking or even blinking at Wonder View to like attack, pursue, or whatever, there's already attack that's pre set up because like due to fate because of
Yeah.
like calamity.
So
So it's gonna intercept you like before you even like reach him.
okay. So I thought of a small theory here. I thought it was interesting to sort of throw off to you. So you know how Wonder View is kind of sort of like the dude who can fish hook you around with Calamity.
Yeah.
Atheon's time itself. So he's already fish hooking Wonder View with time. So I'm thinking, technically speaking, Atheon and Wonder View can't really run away from each other. They're technically tethered because of what they are intrinsically. Like they're not so much magnets, but it's more so it's like you take two fishing rods and the fish hooks intersect. At some point, those fishing rods are gonna have no slack left. I think that's kind of how it is in this case too.
Seems reasonable.
It's like if one is pulled away, the other will pull them back. Like Wonder View would Atheon's tethered toward Wonder View because it's time, but by that same token, because it's time, Wonder View is being pulled toward it. So, uh, but you know, so it's like it's kind of sort of this odd thing where like Atheon will be able to distinctly know where Wonder View is at all times.
That makes sense. He'd be like know where he is at all times. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's like technically speaking, he should be able to feel him. You know, like he'd be able to feel the stand user because he'd be 5D, but then he'd be able to especially feel the stand because that motherfucker's literally pulling his ass toward him.
Yeah.
You know, so uh, and then Dio of Time Stop, since we're agreeing on 5D and I granted Dio over Heaven. Actually, I do think it might work, but it temporarily work because Atheon's also growing stronger as Dio's Time Stop is growing stronger. So it's kind of sort of like this weird Dio's got a long way to go to make any headway with purely Time Stop.
Yeah, I mean, well, at least with D over Heaven, not only can he like stop time, but he can. Also, I mean, he has to punch you though. That's the only caveat. So he has to punch you, and he can basically rewrite your reality.
Yeah.
I think the most impressive like feat he ever did with this was like at least using this reality override to like negate, let's say, Tussac
Gur.
Four,
Yeah, and
yeah, and
Gur
GR.
also.
He,
Yeah.
yeah, he also negated what was it? For example, no, actually, what was it? He punched Valentine, right? Funny Valentine, and he conceptually erased him across the multiverse. So literally, he just did not exist anywhere.
Yeah.
So he like nagged him.
Yeah. The dude outright just fucking brute force through Valentine.
Yeah, he just like punched him. He's like, "There's
Yeah.
no more infinite versions of yourself anymore." Well,
Yeah. Actually, hold on, dude. You know how he erased every version of Valentine?
mhm.
That's dead ass Superman versus Brainiac. By hitting other versions of Valentine simultaneously with that punch, that's an immeasurable speed feat for the stand.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you know why feat's being brought up for as immeasurable speed in DC all the time?
What?
Fucking everyone agrees on it. Like, if you hit Brainiac and then other versions of Brainiac and other timelines are hurt, that's immeasurable speed by definition because you're literally breaking the speed equation with area of effect, with raw power.
Nice.
Because you have to physically make those movements that scale to your speed.
Mhm.
So I
So reality overwrite would be like immeasurable speed, right?
well yeah, technically speaking, Tuskak Ford from having that feat against Valentine when he punches him, like all the infinite Valentines is just gone along with him. Dude, that's immeasurable speed. Like like even if you don't want to consider that a speed feat, that's an AoE hacks that like scales to his ability to physically make those movements. Like
Yeah.
you can do some bullshit with that. Like if he's in another universe, just shoot fucking nail bullet and they'll eventually find him through the multiverse or whatever.
True. As long as it like hits the one in your universe, it's just gonna affect everyone else and the others if he tries to go there.
Yeah. So yeah, for real, I like Johnny the most. Like he's like in Meta's words, he's the magnum opus for Joe stars. I
Yeah.
like his scaling might actually be like the magnum opus of Joe Stars, because it's the only thing that's like separating him and Josuke from being like extremely impressive compared to the rest. Like dead ass fucking Valentine scales off of Johnny by reacting to Johnny, and Josuke scales above Johnny via Wonder View.
Yeah. It's it's definitely a lot of upscaling and shit like that.
Actually,
I mean, personally,
dude, I want you to
yeah,
imagine this. So Wonder View, the strongest villain in fucking JoJo, fucking Johnny out here of all motherfuckers sees that weird ass fucking no window van driving yee ass idiot like in his fucking like cult suit having the head like being covered by the cloak and like with the body. That's all he fucking needed. He's like, bitch, I'm gonna kill you with myself.
hmm
It's just bruh.
he's like, God damn,
Yeah,
the
I
output.
know, right?
It's pretty crazy.
It is crazy. But with Valentine, okay. Here's what I think. So this might be exclusive for specifically when they're in the vault of glass, so it's whatever. But with Atheon, it has these things called the oracles, and it can send the oracles to different timelines and death hacks you there without Atheon having to be present. So I think a response to Atheon could have for Valentine, say if they're specifically fighting in the vault. Well, okay, here's the thing about the vault. Atheon powers it, so it might be somewhat debatable to say he can't, but uh, the thing is with Atheon is that Love Train's gonna be out and trying to fight the man, and as soon as Atheon fires a shot, all Valentine has to do is put a flag behind him, and his ass is gonna move.
Yeah,
Uh, But the thing is with Atheon is that he can chase Valentine down with the oracles.
Yeah, chase him across
Actually, have you done Vault
universes.
Glass?
Yeah, I've done Ball Glass once.
Okay. So, all right. How much do you remember about the encounter?
That's the only thing I don't remember.
Okay,
They kind of
okay,
a lot of them are kind of same, but I do remember Ball Glass though, at least.
okay. So you remember? Okay, you already seen the video, so you already know about Atheon somewhat. Okay, let me put this in your perspective for you. Okay, so Atheon summoned because we exposed him. So that's part one. Part two is that he was summoned now, and then he's summoning literal endless amounts of Vex without even having to make a movement in regards to specifically summoning. He's just doing it. Uh, and they're fucking annoying. They're flying around everywhere, just shooting you. Also, because they're part of the network, they're telling Atheon where you're at. So in a sense, Atheon has limited omnipresence through other Vex.
Yeah,
So, uh, so with Atheon, it's time. Uh, Love Train, it fucks with time and deflects fate and all that. So it knows what it's doing, so it realizes it's fighting a time god. But by that same token, I think Atheon knows that's somewhat what it's dealing with Love Train. So the thing is with Love Train, he's gonna be able to go to a separate universe whenever he wants. So now let me put it this way: Atheon ripped open the fucking timeline itself, threw some bitches in another timeline, closed said timeline, and then went to go death hacks them with oracles.
Jesus.
Atheon ripped open the timeline directly. That is insane.
He's fucking over the timeline, just went straight there.
Yeah, like Atheon. I don't know if Atheon would go to another timeline. I just think Atheon would probably rip open the timeline to see where Love Train went, because he'd only have to know where specifically Love Train went, and then he'd try to send the oracles after him. So the oracles, I think, with Love Train are gonna be hit or miss, but it's gonna be keeping him busy for a while because he's gonna be chased down by some fucking oracles he doesn't know shit about. And granted, I think he'll deduce what they are over time, but he's gonna be scared by them initially, like he was with Infinite Rotation.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think that's one thing for Valentine. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that's fine for like a good win con for Valentine. It'd be interesting to see how
Yeah,
like Avion like try to like punch the barrier and like his energy just gets thrown somewhere else.
yeah. Well. Here's I'm not really saying that as like a win con though. It's like I'm saying like he can kind of. I'm saying for specifically Valentine, the oracles can go and harass him because he has the area of effect to go and harass Valentine with the oracles.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's more of the harassment game with the oracles rather than like an outright kill weapon. They probably can. It's just Valentine would either be in a different timeline or he'd find out how to destroy them. Now, okay, here's the thing. You know why I put every antagonist against Atheon? So, hold on, Job, are you there?
Yeah. Oh, I was lagging. Sorry. I
Okay,
said yeah.
okay. So you know why I put every antagonist against Atheon?
Wow.
Okay, so during the raid, I want you to remember this. You know what Time's Vengeance was?
Well,
That was the Guardians literally reacting with a sick counterattack. They're literally just bull rushing through Atheon's invulnerability. With a sick fate manipulation. You know it's fate manipulation because it says in the bottom left corner, as soon as you start damage phase, Guardians make their own fate. So we know for sure it's fate manip. When Guardians make their own fate, they're not lying. Guardians make their own fate. Only Guardians know what their fates are, actually. So, uh, the reason why I'm saying this is because Atheon, while it has an anatomical resistance to fate, as we've seen with damage phase, that it was temporarily nerfed and didn't do anything else about that. Uh, I think, uh, if they somehow manage to pull together and use this fate manip, it might work on Atheon. It would depend on how the more nasty types like Dio and Valentine and Wonderview are doing though. Because you remember how I brought up that fishhook thing with Wonderview?
Yeah.
Here's they both resist fate, right? And we're saying they're relative here, so the scaling would apply to both sides if we brought up any. So here's what I think: the fishhook thing I think is a little annoying for Atheon, since Wonderview's in a team. By that same token, he knows where Atheon is at all times. He knows the form he is in, and he's kind of sort of looking at Atheon's anatomy, temporally also, so to speak, right? And this dude is pretty fucking smart. Like you said it yourself, he's gonna give Valentine an extremely hard time if they were to fight. So I think that Wonderview, if he had enough time, would be able to deduce that Fate would work on Atheon temporarily, and that they'd all be able to hurt him. Because Atheon wouldn't be invulnerable at that point.
Hey, you'd be vulnerable. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how they would interact with the true form of Wonder Review
Yeah.
per se.
No, I actually no. I was just assuming you're throwing true form at Atheon.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, true form. Yeah,
Yeah, dude. I'm
yeah.
saying balls to the walls. Fucking use everything that you got. It's fucking OP.
Go, let's go.
Dude, fucking chains unraveled.
Oh,
Yeah, go for it, bro. I got the lore.
you got the sauce.
I do got the sauce, the secret sauce. But let's see. Okay, so since we're using Trueform Wonder Review here, how much you want to bet we'll probably figure out that's kind of similar to Atheon?
I was definitely gonna figure that. I think it's probably immediately like, oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
it
Just
take
like
a little
me.
bit to realize that Atheon's a cyborg is the issue. Atheon isn't something with a soul, so it's partially under the same vein of just throwing a machine at Wonder Review is the thing. So
Yeah.
part of his attacks will work, part of them won't. So Wonder Review is going to be playing support here probably. Let's see. Uh,
He could manipulate the machine he could make it malfunction in a sense.
okay. Here's the thing. With the Vex, they're all multicellular beings. That Vex milk. It's like I said in the video. Everything you see in that Vex milk is a separate consciousness. They all come together and form Atheon. So in a sense, they're dealing with a collective consciousness when they're fighting Atheon. So, uh, and Atheon, it's literal mind fluid too. Uh, so, and Atheon should also have information in the Vex network pertaining to some of these characters we're finding, not lore specifically for the characters, but examples, like if you use the internet or whatever for the Vex to find out. They're like, oh, I'm dealing with this, basically. All Vex can do that is the thing. So by that same token, Atheon's gonna have a rather nasty response in the form of probably trying to BO4 him. I mean, on the other hand, though, is it possible that Valentine can BO4 them back, or Dio over Heaven could do his thing and just stop
Yeah,
the
it's
BFR?
possible. It just depends if they're BFRing if it's like be farming them outside of reality, then yeah, they're pretty much done. But if it's like if they're being farmed to a different reality, then yeah, they can definitely help and save them from that.
Okay. So, all right, now I want you to think about this for a second. All right, you know the only thing stopping cars from like scaling to the other antagonist.
Well,
One, stands. Two, scaling. So he's 5D here. Do you understand this, right?
yeah,
The man can deduce harpies and be able to learn how to fight like them or whatever. Like the dude might actually be kind of annoying when fighting Atheon. Like on his own, he'll die, but like give him some time, and like that's what the Palemen are known for. Like literally, give him some time, and he'll try to learn you like by habit. Okay, I want you to seriously think about it here. So, you know, they normally can't see ghosts. Since I'm saying all that shit is kind of like across the board here, and he doesn't have to deal with specifically a ghost. I want you to think about cars for a second, dude. Like the amount of adapting he could do to the Vex is actually kind of nuts.
he is the ultimate life form, so he could definitely well some type of scheme in terms of adapting.
Yeah, the Vex would do the same thing to cars, but he'd figure out that the Vex are doing it back, and I think that's what would intrigue him to try more.
Hmm.
Because see, here's the thing: they're all part of this collective meta consciousness. You saw that scan in the video or statement. Uh, Basically, now I also told you about this specifically before, but how much you want to bet the cars after like I don't think he's gonna do it initially. How much you want to bet that later on though in the fight he'll figure out that they're a collective consciousness?
You probably figured that out. Even his IQ, probably figured out. I'd say, probably mid fight. I've won the bet.
Yeah. Okay. So now I think Kira is gonna be really annoying here also. Kira's gonna be uh he's gonna be probably hanging by Wonder You or cars possibly and just killing harpies or ads in the vault.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're fine if I record this too, right?
that's fine. Yeah,
Okay, cool. Because honestly, the whole point of this is that it's like I'm trying to think of cool ideas, and I'm also trying to like use them as like discussion starters, not enders.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how people would react, because we'd be using like specific rules here. Okay, now one person we probably haven't been talking enough about. Who excites you the most here? Out of the characters you can use against Atheon.
I think personally, I think he really is my favorite. It's like Wonder because I wonder what type of calamity is going to hit these motherfuckers.
That is
That's what I'm
true.
really interested in.
Yeah, actually,
Like, what do they interact with? That's my question.
yeah, that is true. Okay, here's the thing. He can kind of do something very similar to Chariot Requiem, even if it's on a lesser level. But like he can take control of other beings, right? Of the biological sort.
Yeah, he can like take them over. Like, basically, he can manipulate them to, like be a calamity, like influence people, or he could just straight
Okay.
up like possess you, just literally just possess you as the
Okay.
concept. So
So okay. So I think Wonder View is going to be the time's vengeance in this case. Once all the antagonists have time to deduce what they're dealing with, I think it'd take a little while as soon as they realize Atheon can fuck with time like they can. But another monster we'd be dealing with here is Dio. Where do you think Dio over Heaven would scale in comparison to the rest of the villains here?
at least the context we're applying because we're basically evening it out with these Vex characters. I'd say I think he'd scale pretty fine. It's just the only thing that's holding him back is like I think time stop's pretty good, but he doesn't use as that much as like Dear Ever Heaven. We have the reality like override thing. He needs to physically like hit you with his stand to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and also he's just really cocky. So he's probably just gonna like brag or something, and then he's just gonna get like one shotted because
Yeah.
he's He's gonna be
Okay,
dumb.
so let's say we inferred bloodlust then, and like Dio used his intelligence also. What do you think would happen?
Mm, I think he just abused time stop and just like essentially rewrite, like try to punch the Vecna people, rewrite their reality, make sure that they
Yeah,
don't exist.
yeah,
And this like affects like the entire like verse, so they wouldn't exist like anywhere, not in the multiverse,
yeah. Cause see, we're
essentially.
simulating a fire team here, so I think Dio would actually be able to do that to the weak Vex. I don't think he's strong enough to do it on Atheon, even if Atheon was vulnerable. But he can for sure definitely do it on like the other characters. Like maybe on like champions or something, like mini bosses. Like not exactly Templar, but maybe a couple steps below Templar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we've got. What do you think about Maidenheaven Poochie?
Man in Heaven Pucci. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, he can speed everything up is the thing. So that's okay.
Yep.
Okay. So okay, this is headcanony, but we're already doing headcanon anyway because the collab. But uh, what would happen if Poochie were to use Made in Heaven at the same time that Valentine had to go and like save one of the antagonists from a BFR?
Um, if he had to go and save them from a BFR,
No, no, while Valentine was saving someone from a BFR. Like, what do you think would happen if he were to do that at the same time as that?
as the speeding up ability, yeah, I think everything would go fine. It mainly speeds up an individual universe, so you just like get the other guy that's, let's say, BFR to another universe, bring it back to
Okay,
the accelerated one.
so Valentine would make the trip 1/3 faster. Got it.
Yeah, actually, I think what would be interesting is that basically if Poochie ends up accelerating this universe, right, and it reaches its entropy, everything resets, and basically the whole fight resets, right?
Well,
Essentially,
okay. Here's the thing for that. Remember,
yeah.
Atheon is kind of sort of like the timeline. So
Oh yeah,
the thing
you're right.
is with
I remember that.
Atheon, because Atheon is quite literally infinite. So say Atheon was exposed to say Poochie, uh, a Poochie would have to be using that ability an infinite amount of times, and the needle wouldn't move. You know, in regards to the you know in regards to what's happening otherwise.
Yeah. I just saying like it would be interesting, like WinCon, like for maybe like the weaker ones, but then again they are infinite times, so it's a point. But like something that's could be
Uh,
possible, but pretty slim in this case might be
could he
he like
speed?
resets the timeline, and
But
it's
could he
like
speed
I guess
everyone else
faded.
up though?
Yeah, yeah, he could like speed everyone else up if he. Then again, actually, wait, no, I think the ability just affects himself and like other non-living organisms. But the point is right is that when he speeds everything up and resets, essentially the
Oh,
it's
wait,
like a basically if a fight played out without him, like and then he just sees it faded to
wait,
happen, right?
dude, he could murder all the. Okay, he would murder all the weaker Vex actually, because like they'd be considerably finite to him since he'd be 5D in this case. Remember that. Poochie
Yeah.
itself is 5D also, not just the stand. So
Mm-hmm.
now things actually are gonna matter more with Poochie. Like sure, the same conversation would happen in regards to Atheon, but he could probably kill everything in the room, so it doesn't even threaten Dio, even if he was being arrogant.
Yeah.
Just think about that for a second. Like every Vex in the room, like holy shit.
Yep, in their respect, because what was it? Since their perceptions are being slowed due to this ability, he's gonna be faster in
Yeah,
this
because remember, while
case.
the Vex, they're organic, but they're also partially not organic, so they're also exposed to Poochie.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
it's gonna be
because they're
like
close
weird.
enough in this case, scaling wise, the stand would have domain here.
Yeah.
Is just against someone like Atheon or Panoptes. Panoptes is an infinite mind. You already know about that. Atheon is times conflux. So against them, Poochie is worthless. assuming there was no context. But in this case, though, I want you to think about this, okay? Say Poochie murders everything in the room, okay? That gives Wonderview uninterrupted time to observe Atheon and deduce him.
Yeah.
Uninterrupted time. Both with him, Valentine, and we may as well say Cars as well. Just think about it for a second. Uh, that would give everyone time to learn what they're fighting here.
Yeah, pretty much what they do. All they need is really just time to learn about the enemy, and then they're pretty much at
Poochie
that
is
point.
probably the fucking ace in the hole in regards to that, honestly.
Yeah, because he's the one that's going to give them time, ironically, even though he's accelerating it.
Yeah, fucking Valentine is like the fucking lifeguard. If someone gets beer fart, he goes and grabs them.
Yep.
Now for the death hacks. When they have enough time to do Atheon, I think they'd be able to avoid specifically the Oracle's death hacks. But I do have one concern though. Out of everyone Atheon is fighting, Cars is the most exposed to him. Because remember, while Cars is fighting something that's not a ghost, Atheon's fought something more complex than merely Cars.
Yeah.
That's what concerns me about Cars here. Atheon will be able to actually attack Cars, and Cars wouldn't know how to deal with Atheon, since he doesn't know how to deal with technology.
Yeah, he'd just be super confused.
He does, but Atheon is like technology to the man. You know what I mean?
It's just too vast. Like, this isn't just like modern technology where he just takes apart like a, I don't know, like a gun or something, right?
Yeah, it's like there's a lot more to it here. Like it's literal mind fluid. Like abstract consciousness itself and unconsciousness fluid. That's fluid to the vex. So they have brains. They're literal brains. Their biology is literally a brain. So Atheon would figure out right away that it's fighting like an incomplete version of itself against Cars. Wonderview, I think, would concern Atheon. Valentine, I think, would be the next threat. Poochie would be the most annoying third, and I think the rest might be debatable.
What do you think about, well, actually, we haven't mentioned Diablo, or Diablo. What do you think about him?
Well, when Diablo is going to go erase time, Atheon's going to stare at him the entire time and make him feel really awkward. What do you think's going to happen? Okay. I want you to think about this, right? Atheon sidesteps the present, the past and the future. Diablo eventually renders everything else to the past by technicality, right? We agree on quantum physics, at least on that ground.
Yeah.
Right. So here's my problem with Diablo. He's good, but against Atheon, he's like a step or two above Dio, maybe. That's kind of the concern I have with him. Dio is like out of the, Dio is out of danger because we're assuming he's not being stupid here. With Diablo, I actually think his time erasure ability, his time erasure ability is gonna have to work as a support. Okay, you know how Poochie can speed everyone up?
I can like do all that stuff.
Yeah. Diablo can reduce how quick it takes for him to attack with time erasure through using other people to do it. Technically, say he used time erasure on Dio, he'd be able to drop the road roller instead of just being fucking in the atmosphere with it. Oh, God knows where. Like he'd be a lot closer, technically speaking, in one moment to the next. He could do that because that's how his power works. So I think he's gonna have to speed everyone up, and by trying to make some headway on Atheon with causality manip. The causality manip won't work on Atheon, since Atheon has like layers of it, but it's gonna speed everyone else up, technically speaking. Like there's gonna be an A to B. It's gonna take away the two, and it's gonna be A and B. I think that's where Diablo works here.
Yeah. I mean, so he's just gonna, let's say, skip time. They're just, it's just gonna make everything a little bit faster.
Yeah,
No one's gonna
like
remember the
instead of A to
intervals.
B, it's gonna be A B. He's gonna remove the
Yeah.
two B. So, but by that same token, though, okay, you know how Wonder View and the user are like one but completely separate?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, on. I want you to run this by me real quick. Uh, what's the true form Wonder View specifically? Is it did the user die? He came out, or is it the stand who was with the user the entire time, but eventually had to take a form of their own?
It's the latter that you proposed.
Oh, they had to take a form of its own.
Yeah, so it just took over some like I don't know. Yeah, basically some old dude in the hospital, the head doctor.
Okay. So, uh, all right. So the stand itself is the person. The okay,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
yeah. The standard is a person, and I guess I
Okay.
guess
All
technically the
right.
user.
That
There's another user. It's weird.
okay. There's the user of the stand, and the stand can just use other people besides the user as vessels.
Yeah,
Okay. It's extremely similar to Chariot Requiem. Then got it. All right. So here's my whole thing. Okay, you combine Poochie being a demon, with his time bullshit. You combine Diablo with that also being a demon with his time bullshit. Uh, okay. Cars is the most exposed. He's gonna figure that out really fast. I think as soon as the fight starts, Atheon's gonna go for him. Deadass. Atheon's gonna figure out that fast. Cars is causal, so he's gonna have an access to an infinite amount of other cars. Since all we're doing is relativizing stats at 5D. So he'd have a literal sheer amount of cars he could use as evidence to use on cars to, learn how he fights. But say we eliminated that, he could already see from the get-go that cars doesn't have anything like a ghost with them that the others would have. Atheon could use one of two from the get go to figure out Cars is the weakest.
yeah. He's just the weak link. I mean, all he can really do is, I guess, be just evolutionary. That's all it really is. I mean, I guess he has really good IQ. He can't really die. So
But there is an ace in the hole though for Cars here. Cars is a double-edged sword against the Vex is the problem here. On one hand, he'll be able to adapt to eventually have time hacks and other shit on his own, ignoring novel cars. Because the Vex are biological. See, here's the thing. I think I can give a middle ground here with the Vex and Cars. I think that Cars could assimilate trash Vex, but stronger Vex could assimilate Cars. You get what I'm saying? Like he works as like this fleshy Vex, basically. Like he's literal the pinnacle of man. Do you get what I'm saying?
yeah, I get what you're saying. So
Yeah.
he could assimilate all the like the weaker Vex. So would he
And
assimilate all the weaker Vex to the point where he might be able to assimilate the bigger Vex? Is the question? Or
no, I'm saying he can assimilate enough Vex to eventually say be the strongest or something in terms of utility against Atheon. Whatever form that'll take with either time stop or just having straight up Vex power. Actually, I think that's what'll be it, probably. I think he'll dead ass develop subjective reality once he starts absorbing the Vex. He'll be able to develop the ability to harpy fly, as in levitate, without having to change his body into like wings. I think he'll be able to fly. He'll be able to fire lasers from his eyes. He'll be able to have subjective reality. Like he'd be able to learn how to fight Atheon mid-fight, but from the get-go, he's kind of trash. But we give him a little bit of time though, and Poochie doesn't eliminate everyone in the room from the very start. I think Cars has some ground to make here that'll make him useful. Because you know how the motherfucker goes. The dude's literally an animal. Okay, the dude sees a bitch, I'm absorb it. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, he's like, let's get it. Yep, that's just how he
The
is,
dude's literally built different.
bro. He's just absorbing people and shit, bro. He's the apex, 400
The
IQ.
dude's literally a fleshy Vex. He doesn't have Vex powers, but he does the same shit they do. Haven't you noticed that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The dude would notice it. Like as soon as he starts like absorbing Vex, the dude would realize, oh, they're down bad too. Okay. That's why I said earlier. By what I meant by he's gonna like the Vex are gonna encourage Cars to like try more, which scares me. See, the reason why he never died is because he didn't try at all. That's the reason why he got beat up twice, actually. The dude is going to try here. I want you to imagine that real quick. Like, the dude's going to go from 0 to hero in, like, 4 seconds. It's
yeah.
just, what form Cars would take after absorbing the Vex might be a little shaky, is the issue.
Yeah, true, but I think that IQ is going to carry him though. He'll be able
Oh,
to, I guess, understand greater, right?
yeah, I mean, he would have Vex level understanding of physics. See, Cars knows the world. Okay, he's essentially Gaia in human form. But imagine if Gaia knew the laws of physics and the laws of quantum, not the theories, no, the laws of quantum physics. Imagine if he knew all those. He'd learn all those literally just from becoming Vex, just by adding Vex to his DNA.
Honestly,
He would actually be dead fucking down bad in some way. I don't know how it will happen, but the dude will do something. Something at least.
he's gonna pull something off. Essentially, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, like the dude's a wild card. That's like a good way to put it. So so I think Cars, because I already said the first three, it'd be Wonderview, it'd be Valentine, Poochie. I think Cars would steadily make his way up to number 4 or number 3. Either Poochie's more threatening because he can room clear, or Cars is more threatening because he can eventually learn to be like Atheon if left unchecked. Like, I'm not saying he'll be identical to Atheon, but I'm saying, like, if left unchecked, he'll learn how to be like that man. And it'll be really annoying when he does.
You can definitely like mess with them at that point. It's just like it'll look pretty rough for him.
Yeah. So, uh, where do you think everyone else would lie in terms of this fight?
So we've established that Valentine, he just basically be able to save them from BFR, also like observe, right? This is maybe pretty safely within like low train. You might get attacked from other places he exists at in the multiverse. And he might try to escape to different multiverses too. Then we've got like Wonder Review. He'd be able to at least them and the Vex would be able to view each other like I guess almost in full at the same time. And with I think we granted that Wonder Review's gonna have more time to view them because of just like
Because
it's
Poochie or someone else being an
yeah.
influencing factor.
So he can have more time to do all that. Then the flow of calamity can finally be fully set, right?
Yeah. So Diavolo. Okay. Okay. Here's the cool thing with Diavolo. Cars is perfectly susceptible to whatever Diavolo wants to fucking do. So imagine the amount of times the dude could just skip. Like imagine the amount of times the dude could literally just skip. Cars around as he's doing his thing.
You probably it's gonna do that shit a lot. And it's gonna be pretty frustrating for the Vex.
Yeah. Well, no, they don't understand it is the thing. They already know what it is. They deal with far more copious amounts of the stuff from Guardians. They deal with that shit all the time. It's just not a lot of Vex can fight Guardians. Is the thing. That's the thing with the Vex. That's why they run away a bunch, and only a couple times the Vex have managed to challenge the Guardians. So, uh, that's the annoying thing. Like the Vex are causal, but they deal with the beyond causal 24/7.
I think I figured out something that a calamity would happen upon the Vex. Remember when I said like the calamities can like influence, I guess people like or
Yeah,
objects, right?
yeah,
So calamity could just, at least with the weaker versions, granted at least, is that he can influence them to just attack each other via calamities, and it'd just be like, of course, by like accident, right? Like
yeah.
they
He
wouldn't foresee
could.
this.
It's just it's just we'd also know that Wonderview would assume the position of the observer mostly because of his role here. I'm not saying he
Yeah,
wouldn't do that. Is I'm saying he'd probably do that after or before he'd do the observing part.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like after the observing, then he just like use
Yeah,
that calamity.
yeah. That is true. Okay, but here okay. Uh, have you heard of the Saint 14 story?
No,
Okay,
that's
so
me.
there's like two or three twists with Saint 14 we get. So, firstly, it turns out Saint 14's story finally emerged in Destiny 2: Curse of Osiris, the literal worst DLC in Destiny history. Uh, but his story actually emerged there.
Hmm.
But with Saint, the Saint eventually went through enough Vex that they put together a Vex mine to go and challenge Saint. So what that Vex mine did was that they managed to grab a hold of Saint 14's light and basically like take it away from him. Which left Saint vulnerable to the Vex. So, but it takes a lot of time to do it, though. Is the thing. But here's what would happen. So I think the person he'd go after first is either going to be Cars or it's going to be Wonderview. Cars is going to be the weakest from the get go. Atheon can watch him during the fight. But on the other hand, though, Atheon can probably summon a Vex Mine to go after Wonderview. So, but the problem is, it's like this: when the fight starts, Atheon's gonna be fighting them for a while, and if need be, Atheon can go summon one of those Kryptonite Vex. But it's gonna be very circumstantial, actually, on who's gonna get the Vex. Uh, that's the problem here because Atheon's dealing with a whole suite of people. But I don't know if that Vex would be as strong as Atheon is the issue. It could be stronger, but it wouldn't have Atheon's invulnerability. So like everyone together would be able to kill that Vex Mind real quick, since Atheon, personality wise, is more passive. So what do you think about that proposition?
I think that's a fine proposition.
Yeah.
Seems fine.
Yeah, because see, here's in a one-on-one fight, Atheon would be able to get away with it pretty easily, but it's like Atheon doesn't really have a whole lot of room here. He's dealing with like a whole team of pseudo guardians. That's like more than enough to put him on edge, probably. But let's see. Who do you see winning in the end, though?
Honestly, I see at least the JoJo Villains team winning only just due to them having more like at least time to probably like, most likely analyze these people.
Okay,
Because regardless
so
of which ones they go after, like someone's going to be getting more time to analyze these guys. So If they go after Wonder Review first, then Cars is the one to get more time to look at these guys. If they go after like Cars first, then
Okay.
Wonder Review's the one with more time, right?
Okay. Now we're in debatable territory. Okay, so I actually have something a bit of a wild card for you. You remember the Templar?
Oh, yeah, sure, tell me about it.
They're gonna have to figure out how to remove the Templar shield because Atheon has access to the Templar.
Mm, uh, could a Calamity get past it, or
No,
like,
the
damn,
whole fire team cannot break that motherfucker's shield. They literally had to
um,
go and use a cheat code to do it.
like, could,
Okay,
mm,
there is one option possibly, but it's case by case. It might be involved with cars. So here's the thing: if we gave cars enough time to assimilate, he might figure out a way around that shield. But it will take a long ass time to get around that shield. But like cars would have to be the one to do it. But that's if we gave him enough time to do it.
and that all depends on if they go after Wonder Review first. Then that's leads to the other scenario, right?
Yeah, it's either gonna be Wonderview or Cars that's gonna get the Vex Mind. There is a possibility of the others getting a Vex Mind, but the problem is those two are the highest priority targets. Wonderview is too much like Atheon to ignore, and Cars is the most exposed at the start. So, but then the Templar is gonna be annoying.
Oh, I think that's the word for
What?
Jackets. That's the word for them.
So, here's the problem here. At the start, it's gonna be the seven of them because there's only one version of Dio here that's gonna be over Heaven. Any other Dio's, not really as good because we're giving Dio all this shit here. Uh, Cars, okay, novel cars, we might use him against another Vex another day. That actually might be good enough for a 1v1. But for cars here, since we're like just going balls to the walls, uh, with cars, he's gonna be priority target number two. Right away, he's probably gonna summon the Templar, and then a few minutes in, he's probably gonna go and summon a Vex Mind. Now, I think that they can deal with the Vex Mind on their own, but the Templars can be really fucking annoying when it's trying to manipulate oracles and throw them off balance. I'm saying that the oracles here are also going to be annoying. Cause see the ones that the Templar use, the Templar won't be affected by the erasure of the oracles.
Yeah.
So, uh, what I could see happening is Cars is gonna say, "Hey, fuckers, oracles!" Like I see Cars being the dude who does that. Because he has the straight up IQ. I see one of the OP users like Valentine, since he's probably as smart as Cars, and then maybe one review, but I'm also ignorant, so naturally I'm on shaky grounds with what I'm saying too. But I see like a couple of them calling out oracles. And then I see a couple of them having to have enough time taken away to go and deal with the oracles. Because if they don't kill all the oracles in the room, assuming they try that trick, then they're gonna have to divide themselves out. And I think the Templar is probably gonna go with the Vex Mind, and Atheon's gonna be by itself.
Mm, I could only. I'd say probably. I'd say probably.
I do not see the Templar guarding Atheon. I see it guarding the Mind, because the Mind has one specific target, and it's gonna go in Michael Myers, that man. That's why I think the Templar is gonna go with it.
Where you say it's gonna go Michael Myers the man?
Well, it's true. Like okay, the Vex is literally made to fight a specific person. Okay, the dude's
Yeah.
literally the dude's literally built to be Michael Myers. Like straight up, the dude's literally
Damn.
Michael Myers, built different.
The straight fucking Michael Myers in this bitch, bro. Let's get it.
Yeah, straight up. Um, yeah. So I think the dude's gonna go Michael Myers and someone, and then the Templar is gonna go with it. The problem I see is that Karis is gonna have to have either enough time to learn how to fight Templar, or like they're all gonna have to focus their attention on the other two away from Atheon, since they can't hurt Atheon anyway initially. Like either a
Yeah.
couple of them will try to distract Atheon, sure, but by that same circumstance, they're gonna have to divide themselves further.
Yeah. Oh, someone joined up.
Yeah, it's Master Reaper. He's chill.
What's up, Master Reaper?
Hello?
Yo, yeah, Jabber and I
Oh,
are talking
bro.
about Atheon versus the JoJo villains.
Yeah, we're just
Oh,
chilling, bro. Nice to see you.
He
alright.
straight up. Okay, now that I just kind of threw that wild card in with Templar, where are we at now?
I mean, kind of a similar position as before, but we just wondered if they can really get through their like shields, the
Okay,
wild card shield at least.
yeah. Because see, the Templar can do either or. It can help out Atheon or it can help out the Vex Mind. The Templar, see, it can go into like different timelines within the vault because it can go in different places. Time is frayed, so quite literally, it's in flux. It's never staying still. The Templar can freely move through the vault. So we know that. So we know the Templar can go to and from places in the vault, like by Atheon or by the mind. So it's possible that Atheon could be exposed and Templar could teleport in front because it's invulnerable. Like the dude is literally Atheon's little guard dog, straight up.
I think I'm lagging a teeny bit. Y'all can hear me still?
Yeah, I can. I can hear you.
All right, there we go.
Okay, so I have possibly another wild card here too.
All right, what you
Okay,
got?
so now remember the stand users themselves are not the stands, even though they're really strong here, because all we're doing is relativizing sides. We're not changing everything so much. We're just making Atheon fightable, basically here, like we agreed on. So the Templar has this ability called the Ritual of Negation. The Ritual of Negation can infect a target with Vex. What does the antagonist have to remove negation from the target or targets?
Can you read that one more time?
Okay, so the Templar has something called the Ritual of Negation. It's where it can infect you with Vex without having to hit you. Uh, what does the antagonist have for the Ritual of Negation?
Without having to hit you. Hmm. I think maybe for like, so it's just like instantly spawns on you. Is that what you're saying? Like it just
Yes.
like it's like kind of like,
Uh,
oh, it's
the Ritual of Negation is where the Templar picks the target and then he infects the target with Vex. The
I
reason
don't
how
think
we're able to resist it in Vault of Glass is literally because a previous fire team went in there and left parts of their light in the vault. The negation ritual happened to be in the same area as purifying light.
I don't think any of the antagonists have a real answer to that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, maybe like Valentine could like I don't know trick into putting that Vex onto an alternate. Well, actually, wait a minute. So if he puts a Vex onto him, I
Well,
think the only one that might have a counter is like Valentine. He might be able to like go to a parallel verse and then switch consciousness so he doesn't have the vaccine
Yeah, and
anymore.
because Love Train isn't being killed, he'd be able to bring Love Train with him.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So now I have another theory here. This is some big brain synergy I wonder about. Okay. So you know how you pit Wonder View against Love Train? Do the opposite. Put him in a team. Like fucking Love Train goes in front of Wonder View. Wonder View says, "You get a calamity, and you get a calamity, and you get a calamity," and fucking Love Train just runs into them. What do you think will happen?
Just runs to, like you're saying that like Love Train would just basically as soon as the misfortune gets redirected, uh, Wonder if he use that misfortune as calamity and hit somebody, right? Like he basically
See,
like targeted.
yeah, that. What if Wonder View just went and like set them up like they set up the dynamite. Now the dude with them just happens to be the match. Like he can go and deflect all that and make it fucking blow up. Remember, Love Train's ability is to deflect misfortune or calamity, right? What if who he's fighting is also being infected with calamity? So as a result, they're not actually able to hit Love Train because they're being infused with calamity from Wonder View.
Be interesting, honestly.
I was thinking
Hmm.
about that because like, see, here's the thing, like Valentine is kind of garbage, not gonna lie, in comparison. It's his ability to deflect calamity, which happens to be Wonder View's thing, is what's letting him, catch that dude in his tracks, like on about everywhere. It's that everything else he brought up with him over time to compensate for him being human, like before he got Love Train, is what's allowing him to keep up with his other ability, which is to deflect calamity. You get what I'm saying? Like he has a lot of other stuff, but it's when they're fighting and like the neutral game becomes more important that Love Train starts to take over. But what if you put those two together? How fucking nasty would that be?
Yeah, like a really nasty combo because just one
Yeah.
person
But like
they
you could
just
actually
basically
use
did
those two in
that
a
shit.
2v2. That's why I actually wanted you to use those two against Atheon initially.
Good teamwork.
Yeah. That's why I also said the thing about fish hooking Atheon. Because Valentine would have some leeway with the Templar and Atheon because Wonderview is able to fish hook them both through like an enemy and whatnot. It's just by that same token they're able to fish hook Wonderview. So Valentine, might have to be a bit more careful when dealing with those two because Wonderview's right by him.
Yep.
That's a weakness I see Valentine having because Wonderview is basically fighting a not Wonderview version of himself. Valentine will have to be careful to not deflect attacks onto Wonderview accidentally because he'll do it before anyone else. Like if anyone's gonna get hit accidentally, like on a small case of margin of error, it's gonna be Wonderview and it's gonna be pretty bad.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad for him to get hit by like French calamity or his own calamity, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, I'm not even talking about Johnny here. I'm just saying, dude, Wonderview, the dude is weak against himself. That's the issue. He's good, but it's like if you can do what he can do, it kind of makes it a hard case to make for him because he's literally made to do that. Like he is the dude who does the pursuit. He literally runs from you to fight you. Technically speaking, like he backpedals, lets you hit yourself. So what Wonderview is taking a really unique role here. So I don't think Valentine's gonna fuck him over. It's just if it were to happen to be one of those infinite dimensional possibilities that someone's gonna get hit, it's always gonna be Wonderview.
Yeah, I can agree that it's definitely possible for him to
Yeah.
be the one to get hit.
Yeah, should that ever happen and Atheon actually realizes this, then Wonder You is kind of fucked. Like that's a case by case scenario though is the thing. That's like where the anime has to fucking show all the scenes and shit to get all the context, you know?
Other than that, I think that's all I have for this subject for now. I get pretty
So
tired.
okay, so with that out of the way, who do you think wins?
I'd still see the
I think it's
if they pull out
50-50.
the shields.
The,
Yeah, it's like a 50-50. Could go either way depending on
yeah, the problem is
who's
it's case by
selected.
case because it's going to depend on who the Templar protects. It's going to depend on what the Vex mind the Atheon summons to go and fight who. Because for all we know, it could be like a fucking Vex mind going after Dio, of all people, or it could be a Vex mind going after Diablo. You know, like anything could happen. It's just I think a few of those factors is going to be the thing that tells us where it's going to go. Probably.
Yeah.
It's just here's what I see happening. Initially, the antagonists won't be able to hurt Atheon. We know that because Atheon has to lose his invulnerability. But at the same token, it's going to give Atheon time to learn how to fight all the antagonists. So, because they're learning how to fight each other, we'd have to actually go into the individual propositions they'd make. Were we to go so far deep in that, syllogism is the issue. And, that's going to be really contentious if we did, regardless of what's right or wrong. And then, and then besides the Vex Mind and the Templar being summoned, it's Kars is also a wild card entirely. He could just suddenly learn how to take off the Templar shield, and as a result, possibly Atheons. Like I'm saying, like learn how to do it, not just fire team mechanic shoot thing. So Kars is a wild card here. It's gonna depend if he gets nagged early.
Yeah. It's all just two decisions. Either one of your cars is like
Yeah,
the most likely.
Pucci and Diablo. They're playing support here. That's the thing. They're gonna be really, really annoying. I think that's 1/3 of your argument that like we went over. Like the two really annoying character boosters. And then Valentine himself is like a 2/3 of it. Because he's able to deal with BFR, which is probably the worst smoking gun against you.
So you can't like BFR him pretty much because the parallel universe. Unless you BFR him outside of
Yeah.
reality, then
The problem is Atheon would just win straight up if Valentine wasn't there. That's the thing. And like Valentine doesn't have to be the strongest. Like you get what I'm saying? When I talked about you like about talk, how I went over like philosophy and stuff, and how I said like all the small stuff started to add up.
yeah.
I actually think Valentine is 2/3 of your argument here. Like them learning how to fight Atheon is like a third. Valentine is 2/3 of that, and the last of it is being able to learn how to kill Atheon. You get where I'm coming from here?
Yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah, I even made another example about it. Like, what if we just put Wonderview and Love Train on a team? Like, bro, that actually scares me a little.
It's a good pairing,
Yeah,
good team.
it is exactly like because they're all relative to each other in this case. Those things that might be unimportant to you actually have a lot of importance here. Like 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 Valentine. Okay, what if you put them on a team? Even better, what if you allowed Wonderview to infect a lot of characters with Calamity? Okay, what would happen if Love Train went up against those characters who had Calamity against them? It'd be like Stasis in Destiny 2, where you could make that shit explode. Like dead ass, like something weird would. It'd be really weird, right? Really weird. But it'd be this extreme form of overkill, whatever form it might take, like against anyone like not Atheon, and possibly Atheon if they had enough time. Like Like, just think about it real quick. You know how cool this stuff really is to talk about?
I mean,
Like we're
like, yeah, it's like
like
pretty good.
like we're not debating, but we're debating, but we're not debating. Like how cool is that?
I mean, very like that. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty nice.
Like we're I'm able to bring up this stuff and give you arguments to use too. That's the fun part. Let's see. So yeah, I think what Atheon has, it's got two things going for it. One, the Templar has the ritual of negation. Two, it's probably the summoning. I think that's what's going to give Atheon the win here. Because Atheon could try to infect one of your characters. Okay. Here's the thing. Deal's probably going to be the fuck up that kills everyone on your team. Assuming Atheon does this. But a Vex can infect you by basically shoving your head inside the Vex milk. Or just forcing contact to happen physically. I don't know if Atheon would do that in character. We're not even giving Dio the in character here. But assuming if Dio was in character and we went with like what was logical, Dio would probably try to punch the man, and like Atheon could probably infect him and like send his ass flying to the rest of the antagonists. So that's a wild card argument is the problem. That's why I wouldn't count on that one. It'd be the same as not counting on cars. Like he could either completely clutch it or he just won't do much. You know?
That could be either or.
Yeah. So exactly. It's a wild card. Who the fuck knows, man? Like novel
Oh,
cars would be the only thing you'd have as a basis. Is the problem because we'd have George Joestar and then we'd have novel cars.
yeah, pretty much.
But like if we were to use them as a baseline, we might have something to use here. But since we're like stopping at over heaven, hmm. Okay, so now I could bring up subjective reality as an argument, but I feel like that's kind of sort of out of tierish for Atheon in this case. So I wouldn't want to use subjective reality here. I don't know. What do you think?
Uh, I don't think you should use subjective reality.
It feels a little out of tierish is the issue.
Yeah, I don't think any of the characters really have an answer to subjective reality.
Yeah. You see, here's the problem: is like all your characters they can warp it. Okay. And then like say we were to do relative stats, but then I went like full bonkers with like the hacks scaling. Uh, I'm saying the hacks and the scaling with those hacks. Atheon would clap. You know, that's the problem. Like the thing is, your entire squad of characters counter specific powers of Atheon, but also is weak to specific powers of Atheon. It's literally a fucking game of Pokemon here.
Pretty much.
Actually, hold on. But that same token, okay, I want you to think about this for a second. Say we gave cars just an infinite amount of time to assimilate Vex. I want you to imagine this. Say the dude had fucking subjective reality and all that other bullshit, and like he learned how to eventually devour the light, and like managed to get light powers too. Just imagine how fucking broken that man would be.
Fucking broken.
The dude would be like fucking down bad as all, like he wouldn't just have a 400 IQ anymore. He'd have a literal computer as a brain. You know how
Sleepy
you know
Brainiac.
how fast that is.
That it's probably really fucking fast.
The thing is, here's the thing: cars will never be able to match a computer in sheer processing speed. You understand? Like, Cars is mortal. You get what I'm saying? Sure, he's physically immortal, but he's mortal on all fronts. Organic. The thing is with a computer, it doesn't have the same limitations as a body. It's you may as well say it's instant. The processing speed's so much more faster, and not only faster but uncapped. Say cars eventually learned how to stop being so human in terms of processing speed. how much more broken do you think the man would be just from that alone?
He did stop making his face, so at least we got
Dude,
something to base
the
off
dude
of.
is literally a fucking wild card in JoJo. He's literally teeter tottering the ground of between like not metaphysical and metaphysical already. He's literally a freak of nature.
Pretty much.
Like imagine being a literal freak of nature. How funny is that?
There is some comedy to that. That's a yeah. That
Like the dude is so broken that if you gave him anything else, he might actually be top tier in verse. It's actually that scary of a thing. Like he could slap everyone like physically in a fight. It's when stands come into play that he has problems. Like JoJo could beat
yeah
the shit out of the man forever. Fucking Dio could beat the shit out of the man forever. Fucking Johnny Joestar would be able to beat the shit out of the man forever. It's just he's physically immortal.
yeah. So he just can't really
Like
die.
like like
Oh,
like they could
unless you
all
have like a
throw him in
weird
a
ass
corner
monster.
and beat him to death, but then death would just go bye bye for cars because he just
Yep.
regenerate. You literally can't even mortally injure him. That's how immortal the man is. There's no such thing as a mortal injury against cars. You have to literally eradicate the man.
Yep.
So now imagine if you gave the man a stand. Okay, we don't have to say novel cars here, but imagine if you gave the man a stand. Like we went and memed and said like the nano machines thing. Because you know how like fucking Armstrong has the nano machines?
hmm
The Vex themselves are just the nano machines. They just learned how to develop bodies and fight people. So cars would essentially have a case of Armstrong bullshit, but with nano machines. In this case, Vex.
Yeah.
So that's why I think cars can either clutch it against Atheon and the other two, or cars can die early. Because technically, he like technically on all grounds that matter, cars literally has uncapped potential. We can literally say, but what if this or what if that? If we had the criteria to meet it, he literally is able to get there hypothetically. He has uncapped potential on all fronts. That's why cars is so fun to do things with, idea wise.
Yeah. It's pretty fun to definitely
Yeah,
talk about.
like
Other than
imagine
that,
having literal biological uncapped potential. Like you literally have
like
the
on a
biology to do it.
biological level,
Nasty, right?
it's pretty nasty. He
Yeah.
does pretty fucked up things with it.
Like straight up. You know how Meadows did that video on cars?
Yeah.
He wasn't joking. Like the amount of things you could say for cars is literally endless. He has access to the entirety of DNA. Not human DNA, literal DNA itself. From all things. Okay. You could talk about cars forever and what you could do with them, man. The Vex literally work the same way as cars, technically speaking, because they work in the way cars does. Cars is literally a fleshy Vex. That's why him or Wonderview is going to be the target. Wonderview is basically a metaphysical version of Atheon, while Cars is a physical version of Atheon. And then Valentine is literally Valentine. We don't even have to say anything else. We literally just have to say Valentine. Like I could just say Valentine you and be like, oh, got it. Literally.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I think uh Atheon summoning and the Vex infection is gonna give him the win. Whatever else happens is literally gonna be as a result of like the entirety of your squad just pulling up on Atheon and the other two mines. So
Yeah, that seems like a pretty reasonable conclusion.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
I think that's a good place to put it.
yeah, it's a
Hey, bro, I
good
managed to
place to
match
put
you.
in.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good place to put in. Definitely. And off that. I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna catch some of these real quick.
Yeah. And, oh, and by the way, bro, you know, if
Hmm?
I go and upload it, you can let it go and fucking re-upload it, or